This video has been made because recently at environmental road climate protests, there have been incidents where evidently, and I wasn't there so I can't comment on the particular incidents, evidently ambulances have not been able to get through to hospital. They have been blocked. Apparently, I wasn't there. I firmly believe that almost all, the vast majority of environmental climate activists and so on are determined to do their utmost to save lives. Far from being selfish, one person's loss of life is always a tragedy, but we're talking about something of an infinitely greater scale. Environmentalists are trying to save life, not harm it. So what are we going to do about this situation where ambulances, potentially fire brigade or coast guard, can't get there to save lives, which is what we all want to do? There needs to be a strategy in place. Now, the emergency services must be used to resourcing, planning, strategizing and assembling. That is modelling and rehearsing for disasters, for accidents of different types, for different situations. So I suggest a strategy is put in place that is publicly known, that all events organisers should and participants should familiarise themselves with, but the emergency services would have a backup plan if they went to an event and found that they hadn't looked at it. And let's talk about it a little bit. Now, I'm not the one who's working in the emergency services in this event, so it's up to you to do the details. But I believe that a situation can occur whereby emergency services can arrive at a protest and they can get through a blocked road, for example, in 30 seconds to 1.5 minutes. I believe that is realistic. We all know, who've seen emergency services arrive with sirens and with blue lights, that cars and vehicles pull across to the side. Now, that allows the emergency services to come through. Now, what occurs is they come to a barrier of people, maybe a physical barricade. So, the strategy is very, very simple. Protesters come out behind the emergency services vehicle, immediately open up the barricade. The reason for them going behind is so that an influx of other traffic doesn't come through, and the emergency service vehicle is ushered through. That should be rehearsed on all sides. That way, I believe that can be achieved on the best of occasions in 30 seconds, but probably more like a minute to a minute and a half. 2 minutes would be. That concludes the ESS, provisional draft, as it were, of the ESS Emergency Services Strategy. The details aren't there, and obviously there's a difference between Coast Guard, fire and ambulance. But it's the basis of an ongoing strategizing process, that can save lives and show that we're working together. We, the people, the land, the people will never be defeated. The land, the people will never be defeated, We have to watch out for the elites. The next part of the video goes into a little bit of why there are people out there protesting. And no, we aren't the lowest of the low. We're selfless people trying to save billions of lives and the planet, which gives everybody life, rich and poor alike. Where the rich are taking too much more than their fair share, they're taking the water out of people's mouths and the air out of our lungs with their space tourism and first class and private jets. The second part of the video details some of that, but remember, we're on the same page, emergency services. We thank you, and we'll do everything we can to help you. Now, the truth is that the emergency services are the natural allies of the environmental movement. They, if anybody, take the firefighters, they, if anybody, are going to have sympathy with people out there trying to stop the destruction of the earth. They know that they're going to face brutal conditions. I think it was 134 firefighters were killed fighting one fire in Northern Africa. There was that whole team, wasn't there, in a tent in the States somewhere, burnt to death. It isn't being taken seriously. That's why people are out there not being selfish, being selfless, risking arrest, condemnation, being termed constantly crusty as the lowest of the low, when they're just trying to save their children's and everybody's children's lives. They're trying to save firefighters' lives. So they don't have to be 100 killed at a time, fried by terrible fires that aren't needed. And it's principally the rich nations, but also within them massively, and then within all nations, the rich in the poor nations, the rich in this nation, they're taking more than their fair share. They're generating the problem. They're controlling the dialogue about it. You get your Prince Charles types saying that your Insulate Britain aren't doing it the right way, willing to criticise them. When he's rich enough, he owns swathes of Britain. I'll have organic lamb and get the mechanic to change my Aston Martin Lagonda to biofuels. By the way, you Insulate Britain people, you're not doing it the right way. You're wrong. What should we do with my millions? No, that's a stab in the back against the real environmentalists who are willing to be arrested and who do the real work. And he won't criticise the Conservative government with their track record of trashing the environment and raping the earth and enslaving her people. I don't agree with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It isn't. The air hasn't got any politics. No, that's true. But the right wing certainly has, and it's been destroying the air, destroying the waters, destroying the people, destroying everything but money for itself or themselves. There are a few people in the right wing who are a bit environmental, usually short-sightedly so. But there are a few, but they're few and far between. The right wing is overwhelmingly the oil class, overwhelmingly the luxury car class, overwhelmingly the private jet class, overwhelmingly the climate denier class. Now when those who do agree in it still find ways to get around it and make excuses about it and talk about it as it's just a shiny ball and do all sorts of weird bullshit. But no, the emergency services are natural allies of the true environmental activists, because they're both trying to save lives. And if they look into their hearts, they'll see the sense that the environmentalists are on about. It's true that the average Joe and Jill public doesn't, by and large, now, because they've been brought up for all their life on Top Gear, thinking more about the status in cars and what that will mean to them than the air they breathe, the gift of the child's smile, material things and money and fancy cars and now luxury e-cars are more important to them than just about anything. But the emergency services can hopefully see some sense. Ambulances increasingly going to be rushing to take people, try and rescue people from these fires, from these floods, terrible injuries, risking their lives. It doesn't have to be like that. But the rich are making it that, and the poorer are supporting it by not getting off their asses and doing anything about it and complaining about people who do risk arrest, condemnation, belittlement, for actually caring, for actually being sane. I've gone on a bit now, but that's enough. ESS